So I'm going to have him walk around like this. So that's going to be my X motion, I believe. And I'll do that at the very end. What I'm going to do with Aniblocks now is set up his little legs here, which don't seem to be in the 0 position. So I'll load myself a fresh copy of that. And then I'll go and animate each single leg individually, and then save that out as an Aniblock per leg. And then I can go and move them individually so that they don't move all at the same time. Let's go and make that happen. I've got my regular timeline and my animate timeline for this. I'm going to start with the regular timeline. But in order to save blocks into the animate timeline, I'm going to have a look at these things and take them out in a moment. I have my own little library there. There we go. Smart content. Figures. Let's see if this works. Let's wink. Yes, exactly. Let's make him wink. So 6 legs. Let's see what they're named as. Front leg 1, mid leg, and back leg. So left, front, middle, and back. And the way they can move, so there's no morphs for this. I'm going to have to go do this on with the transform tools here. And so there's these 3 segments here, and the first one I think doesn't move that far. Whoops. It's probably not the one I wanted to move, is it? Yeah, not really. So he only moves sideways, so I don't think they can actually walk well this way. I mean, in real life, I suppose he can, but let me see if I can also switch it to my local coordinates there. I think that's probably valuable to me. So that means with local, I can just move this up and down. This is what I want to do. So 0 is here, and he can move further down than up. I'm just testing out what I can do with each segment here. Then the second segment, that behaves the same way. That's also bendable. And then this is the bottom segment that can move a little bit more both ways. And I've watched a video about how crabs actually move, and they basically lift these 2 bits up, then they move this guy back, then they put everything on the ground and let the bottom part shift them over. So that is how they move. And I'm just trying to think this out in my head. This is going to be about 20-25 frames per cycle. So I think for the first 5 frames, we'll leave everything on 0. Then on frame 5, I'm going to go and set myself a keyframe, at which point, so I'm going to try and use these 5 frames to lift these 2 pieces up. So there's going to be this guy is moving up, and this guy is also moving up, while this last segment is going to move down. So let's go all the way to -45. Let's do that. I think let's do that. So that'll move this thing up. Then over the next, I say 5 or 10 frames. Let's say 10 frames. Over the next 10 frames, he's going to put these 2 bits down so that this like his hand essentially is going to, or his foot, his toe, whatever you want to call it, that's going to dig into the ground. So I think maybe we'll make that 10 frames. I'm going to leave this bent as it is, and this and that we're going to set to 0. Or not actually to 0, sorry, to something less than 0. Yeah, maybe -25. I think that, just so that I can remember that name. That and this one here, I'm going to make that -25 as well. 25 is a magic number for me in this. That might actually be too much, so maybe that's enough. So lift up, put this down, and then over the next 10 frames, I'm thinking, hopefully that's going to work out. Over the next 10 frames, I like for this hand to go back to the original position, so to 0, maybe even slightly further. Can we do that? Is that possible? Yeah, we can move it slightly further. So I'll do that. I'll extend it up to here. Is that good? Because then I'd like for this guy to move back to 0 at that point. So he's kind of helping himself with that arm here. Let's see if that works. Lift up, push down, push body over, and then we're back. Hey, that's nice. And then we have the last 5 frames. They don't really do anything, and they appear to pop there. So I don't know if I'm gonna. They should really be. If I wanted to make this a loopable 25 frame affair, then I think one value here is not quite on 0. Let's see which one it is. Oh yeah, of course, this one here. That isn't quite on 0. So we can either turn that to the front. Now it'll probably loop. It does. There we go. We have that little 5 frame pause at the end, but we don't really worry about that. We're just going to leave it as it is and save this out as an Aniblock and literally animate every single leg like this. So this is kind of a good way for me to know how one leg animates. Once I save that out, I can go and apply that again and move it in kind of in a temporal fashion there. That's the plan. I just heard an exciting noise, but I didn't see anything happening. It sounded like somebody was buying me a coffee, but I can't see who that was. So thank you. If you have bought me a coffee, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Very nice. I can also go and turn my total timeline frames to 26. Then we have that. Then we don't have that that bump at the end. So goody. Well, first thing. That's very nice. Thank you for the applause. Let me know, did you actually hear this? Because I heard it in my headphones, but I have a feeling it's not actually audible in the on the stream. Thank you for the applause. That's much appreciated. So I've set myself something up here that's called Crab Walk from yesterday already. That's something I've been fiddling around with. I might just go and oversave that because they're not really something I want to keep. I'll go and save that out because this is much better than what I did in rehearsal. So okay, let's do this, and also let's just animate all. Shall we do that? Animate all legs? No, I have to do it leg by leg, don't I? Yes, I have to do it leg by leg. Let's go into animate, and whatever I've got as keyframes now, which isn't a lot, this is just one leg, I'm going to go and turn it to an Aniblock. So for that, I think I need to go and click this button. That makes me a subtrack. I don't have to name it with anything, but I could call that front left front leg. And I don't need anything about head or shoulders. Hit done. And now with that front leg, I can go and right click somewhere here and say create Aniblock from Studio Keyframes. And when I do that, it'll come up with a little dialog here. I think I'm going to leave everything as it is and hit done. And that gives me this little Aniblock here. That's kind of nice. So now if I look, my timeline in a moment, as soon as I move this, doesn't have keyframes anymore. But when I play, my leg still moves, and that's because the keyframes have now been turned into this block here, which is great. So that's where all my keyframes are in now. I can go and rename that and call it, what did I say, front left leg, left front leg. and I'll go and save that in my Animate timeline here. So this is kind of the Animate, what you call it, it's a folder here, and currently I already have one that's called Crab Walk, but these are some that I've animated earlier, and they're not that great, so I want to do some work on that, but as they are in the library, you can hover over them and then they all come back to life. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those, and then I will come back. I also hate iOS autocorrect. And you didn't hear anything? Okay, good. That's good to know. There's something wrong with my audio routing on my streaming PC, because when you kick something like that off, the streaming PC gets it. So we saw the video notification, and with it also there comes there's an audio notification. I guess I haven't routed the audio somehow. It's been a while. So let's go ahead and find my public documents. This is in my regular DAZ Studio library here. There's a folder in it that's called Aniblocks. That's it. And any folder in here, any subfolder will appear as a drop-down menu. So this is my Crab Walk here. I'll go and delete everything out of here because I don't need it anymore. And that makes me the Crab Walk folder inside the Aniblocks folder. And if I go back here into DAZ Studio, it doesn't really know about this yet. It knows it can't read them anymore. So what I have to do is just go elsewhere. And then I'll go back into my Crab Walk section, and there it is now. This is it. Mr. Rod! Oh my goodness! Good to see you, my friend. How is Jay Gilbert? And how's Joe doing? I hope you had a great meal. Rod, by the way, if you don't know, Rod and Joe have just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Woo-hoo! That is exciting. Wonderful. 50 years of marriage. Rod, this is amazing. For someone who's only 25, like you are. Very funny. So I'll go and save this blog. It's wonderful. I've been thinking of you. I did that big DAZ stream on the official DAZ channel on your anniversary, so it was very, very nice. I was thinking of you. Save as new, and I will go and put this into Crab Walk, and it's given me the same name that I've given the Aniblock. Pop that in here, and that is essentially it. I can now go and it's very good. Yes, it's been such a long time. Absolutely. I can now go ahead and remove that Aniblock, because I'm done with animating this leg. All I do need to remember though is, well, just think about what values I've animated there. Did I remember that? Should I have written that down? Will I remember? I can't tell. Let's go and try to remember on the middle left leg now. Good to hear, good to hear. And of course, there's this thing about your house. Rod's getting his house ready for sale, so that's very good. So if I remember correctly, the first keyframe is just going to be this guy stretching out. Then 5 frames in, we'll go and move this little guy over here. Then this and that, they're both going to go up, if I remember correctly. That's the first keyframe. Lift up, then over the next 10, and we can vary this as well. I'm just thinking I'll stick with the same leg motion. If each leg moves slightly differently, that's okay. They just should move in the same cycle. So this now means I think this guy will go back to 0. By the way, if you're used to alt-clicking on sliders to reset them, don't do this in animations. I set these to 0 manually because if I alt-left-click on a slider, it will go to 0, but it'll also eradicate all keyframes and turns this into a global value. So that's just one thing in animations to be aware of. Then this goes down, I think, was it to minus 25, wasn't it? I think 25 was that magic number. Right, we do that. Lift up, push down, and then over the next few frames. Is that how we do it? This guy is going to move itself all the way over to here. I think that's what we do. And then this is going to move back to 0, kind of that arm helping the crab with that. I think that's how it works. I think so. And chunk, chunk, chunk. That's how he walks. That's nice. Is it round? I have a feeling there's a little pop somewhere, but I think that's just what it looks like. Lift up, shoot down over 10 frames, do this. I almost want to say, let's try to help this arm as well. So this arm, like the first segment that goes up and it goes down and then it goes back to 0. So I'm thinking on here, I wanna say help your friend out and go to maybe to -10. We didn't do this on the front arm. Let's see, does that look better? Yeah, it's just a little extra movement there. I think that's okay. It's going to look fascinating when it does this with 6 legs and they're all slightly offset against one another. Miss Joe, wonderful to see you. It is hot outside. I totally agree. Absolutely. I totally agree. I might go and actually save this out as a, just so that I have it as a separate file. So crab walk, left mid leg, just so that I have it as a scene file. It's probably not necessary. I just want to make sure I have that. So now with everything in place, I still have this. It doesn't matter what this is called. It is currently called something that it isn't really, but I'm okay with that. Can I double click, rename it to something else? I might just call it proxy track, so just so that I need a subtrack. Otherwise, the Aniblock isn't going to be created. It doesn't seem to matter what I select, so I can just go and say create Aniblock from Studio Keyframes and choose direct copy, and it'll do this. Maybe it did matter what I select. See, I'm glad there's no undo, by the way. There's no undo. I see what I didn't do. Is there an undo? Is there undo? No, you see, there's no undo. Oh, screwed it up badly. I'm so glad I saved this. How exciting. Let's go and bring it back. Open recent. Boom, there we go. Keyframes and all. So add a proxy track without any of these things. Maybe I will just call it what it is. So front mid leg. Let's do that. And then in here, that's important, in here, create an Aniblock from Studio Keyframes. It hasn't actually done that, has it? Keyframes are gone. Was this time it worked? I'm not entirely sure what went on there. But it seems to have worked this time, so I'm not really entirely sure what happened there. But hey, it's part of the fun of finding it out. There's also that bump, but that's probably because our total duration should really be 26 frames. Does this work? We still have this little end bit here. I don't really know why, but it's okay. I'm going to go and save it as an Aniblock anyway. First rename, so that's the left middle leg, or left mid leg, I suppose. And now I can go and save it as new, like that. these Aniblocks, they should show up here, but there's a little bug that doesn't do the refresh when you've done it, so you have to just go and quickly select a different directory, then go and select that again. And now we have this moves that, and this moves that. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna just plow through this for the last leg and then for the other side. And then we can stack them all up. So I think I can already see if I go and put the front left leg in onto another track here, and then go and play the animation. Then we'd see both legs moving, but not at the same time. So I can now go and have these guys literally offset the walk cycle with one another. That's kind of the plan. And we do this several times. So this could probably go over here, like so. Then the second leg starts a little bit later. And we're just going to offset all the 6 legs once we have it. So it's going to be quite nice. Alrighty. This trash can, this one, trash can. And this here, we're going to make that 26 frames again, which means 25 in total. Goodie. The Emerger. Hello, hello. Top of the afternoon, sir. Top of the evening, I should say, to Belgium. So, let's select this guy here. This one, and that one. So the first frame we've decided is just this claw going out, like so. Then 5 frames later, we're lifting this up and this up. Also, the hind leg actually moves much further up. That's interesting. I didn't see that. I think that was limited better with the other leg, so I'm gonna go and make that maybe just 10. That's probably gonna be enough, unless it needs that. No, I think that's gonna be okay. And then the hand as such, that goes all the way back, I'm thinking. Yeah, let's do that. So from here, lift up, then over the next 10 frames, go ahead and leave this claw as it is, but this guy goes back not just to 0, but maybe to -10 to help him along. And then this goes to 0. I think that's going to be all right. Lift leg, punch into ground, and then over the next 10 frames, go and move yourself over. So that's this all the way to here. And then this guy goes back, I think, to 0. And this is already 0. Okay. Helps him along. Do you know, now that I've seen the hind leg lift up so much more, I wonder if I should do that. I like the idea of this leg at this point lifting up more. Maybe to 25, see what that looks like. Or even further, let's make it 45. See if that looks cool, or if that looks too much. Well, maybe it's okay, I don't know. It is a complete challenge, Elvis, absolutely. It is a total challenge because there's just so much stuff that I need to go through. It is an unbelievable challenge. But hey, hopefully rewarding. And I thought I'd take you all with me on this exciting journey. I was actually going to start this all yesterday, this whole project, but Julia and I discovered that there's a boardwalk here by the beach on South Beach that used to only go up to about 30th Street. they've just opened that up all the way up to 80th Street, and it was kind of a big surprise that we found. We go there cycling, and we just love hanging out there, and it's part of the Atlantic. What's it called? This Atlantic Coast Path or something. Technically, it's a path that goes all the way from here up all the way to Maine, which is really far up north. And if it was in complete construction, then we could literally cycle or walk, if you wanted to do that, all the way up from the north to the south, and it's like thousands of miles. But of course it's not continuous, and it's like a bit here and a bit there, but they're working hard on it to make it one continuous journey. So maybe one day I can drop by Chris's house or Brian's house and you know, it's gonna be nice. So I did before. I'll go and save my whole scene before I turn this into an Aniblock. I don't want anything to screw up. So I'll go and call that crab walk, left back leg. Because it's difficult to do undos in Aniblock creation. So last time it worked fine if I just go and right click this and say create Aniblock from Studio Keyframes. Direct copy. That does this, and I think it's not really done it correctly. So it looks like when I do it the first time, no, look at it, it looks like it's okay. So all the keyframes have gone from the timeline. That is what I expect, and they're now inside this exciting little Aniblock. It's kind of ignored the proxy track that I've made here, but hey, maybe I'm totally fine with that. I'll call it left back leg. And go save as new. Boom. Awesome. And the other two are still there. So I can hover this and hover that, and I can use this. This doesn't really hover because it doesn't update properly. Come brother. There we go. So this and that and that. Okay, we're doing well. We're doing well. Delete. Start again on the other side. I might start from the back to the front, just because I remember what I've just done here with this slightly higher elevation. So this guy, that goes the opposite direction now. This is our first keyframe, 5 frames in. Since it's the back leg, we're going to go and bend you this way. Bend you all the way to that way, and then this guy. I see. I suppose there was a small issue then on the left hand side, because do you remember when on these legs I couldn't quite move them all the way up, but in this case it looks like there's a limitation here. And wasn't it on here? I think it was, wasn't it? So I could either go and fix the previous leg, or, oh yes, saving incrementally would be great. There is a way around it. I mean, I don't know if you're a coder, Elvis, but if you install something like Git or any other kind of version control, you could just do that. You could just literally just go and use the Control S and over save, and then in a little version control window, you can just go and save versions using version control. That's a possibility, but it's, you know, it's not something that's built into DAZ Studio, and coders understand it. Ordinary people might not, so it's one of those things. It is such a challenge. Daja, I was very inspired. There's a game on the Apple Arcade that's called Spider with a Y, and the main character is a little robotic mini spider that you control with a gamepad, and they've done such an amazing job animating this guy. That kind of reminds me of that. I've decided not to fix this. I'm going to leave that in place and instead bodge this up just with working with that slider here, parameter settings, and go and say the minimum value is going to be -45. Can't I do that? Damn you, why not? Oh, it's because I've changed the wrong one. Duh. Minimum was supposed to be -45. And then the maximum was probably was probably 15, wasn't it? Oh, I don't remember. I've screwed it up. Okay, fine. Let's go and bring in a brand new version of the crab. That's the good thing about saving incrementally, isn't it? There, Toon Crab, how you doing? We were just wondering which portion of your leg was... This one's good, minus 15. That's okay, we'll leave that as it is. But I think then this here, that was 45. Okay, 45, and then we need to go minus 45. Okay, no worries. So first frame, let's redo that, where this guy is going all the way here. Going the other way, everything else is 0. Then on frame 5, we'll go and have him bend all the way this way. And this guy, that's the one with the slider we need to work on. Parameter settings, minus 45. Lift your leg up. And then this here is also as far as we can go. Just so that it's the same for both hind legs. I thought it was bending a little bit much. If it's terrible, we can always fix it. Over the next 10 frames, that's him lifting the leg up. Over the next 10 frames, we'll go and lift you down to 0. Lift you down to 0 as well. And then move that down all the way to here. Is that what we do? I think so. Oh no, it's not actually. This we need to actually leave that, don't we? You just hack it into the ground like so. Like lift, hack, then you push. Righty, so yes. Lift, hack in. And then you push out. Quite the challenge. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about him lifting the leg all the way. I think it's fine. I think it's all right. I think it'll be okay. Alrighty, before we do anything rash, this is now the crab walk back right leg. We don't have a proxy track. I think I really need that. I think so. I'm not entirely sure if I really do, but it could just be an intricacy in Animate. I've had issues if I don't do this. Now go create Aniblock from Studio Keyframes. Direct copy. And we're moving. Keyframes, non-existent. Good stuff. Rename. Right back leg. And save as new. Phew, my God. Do you know, yes, absolutely. Something, I mean, the thing with keyframes is that I think nowadays many of them are not set manually anymore. I think many of the keyframes that we get in today are either created from video footage or and like automatically, you basically just set key points, like these are the shoulders, these are the knees, and then a program works it out. You just upload a video to the program, give it some pointers, and it works out where the skeleton is. There's a couple of services that don't charge much money for that, and it works with regular footage, so you don't have to shoot anyone in front of green screen. It's just regular footage, like a person dancing in the street. You just upload that and say from here to there, turn that into BVH, and it'll do it, and it's an amazingly accurate stuff. And then the second option is, of course, giving people or giving objects these motion control dots, and then measuring that and taking that in as motion data. So that's often how it's done, even if it's not a humanoid character. That's easy to visualize. If we have these dots here on us on a black suit, and then we move something with your fingers, you could have, you know, several dots here on your fingers. As you move them, the program just goes and reads that data. So that's one possibility. But what the Disney animators do, they have these types of gloves, and they control facial movements with that. So rather than, I mean, there's that. There's also translating an audio file into something that gives some, you know, gives a lip synchronicity. But if you wanted to go with expressions and, you know, doing things like body movements, they often have these little gloves on that they it's basically like shortcuts. Whatever gesture they do, that's what follows on the figure. So that is often how this is done. So that meticulous work like this doesn't have to happen anymore, because who's mad enough to do that? Aside from me, of course. Next leg, this one. But you're right, anything that has to do with animation is just an absolutely, there's just so much to do there. Walk cycle on a crab. What was I thinking? I was gonna lift this guy up. That's my first keyframe. 5 frames in, we move this. I think this goes over here. This lifts up, and this lifts up. Hiya! Then, over the course of 10 frames, this goes back to 0. This, I think, goes down a bit more to maybe, I don't know, 15 maybe. Lift, hack into ground, and then push yourself forward. So this goes to 0. The other one is already 0, and then this guy goes all the way up there. Hiya! There we go. Moves himself forward with the middle leg. All right. So this one is back mid leg. No, it's not actually. It's the right mid leg. There you go. Select subtract, create Aniblock from keyframes. Does it work? Yes, it works. And keyframes are gone. Good stuff. Rename right mid leg. Save as right mid leg. Boom. You're so right, Rod. Absolutely. TNA movie. Do you know why not? I wonder if it's going to happen. I mean, the engine is there. Unreal Engine certainly is there. That does that in real time, so there's no more waiting for rendering. That's already a big relief. Right front leg. Now, how do we get the girls into Unreal Engine and do anything meaningful with it in there? Big issue. First keyframe. On the 5th keyframe, bend, lift up, lift up. Next keyframe, back to 0, then down to 15. Hiya! And then over the next 10 frames, you go to 0 and you go all the way over here. And that, in an ideal world, is him walking. I think animation is one of those things you have to have so much patience for. Literally the patience of an angel. Crab walk, right front leg. There we go. That's that. Let's turn it into an Aniblock. Does it work? Yes, it works. Doesn't always. I don't really know why. Right front leg. And let's go and save this as new. All right. Okay, then let me go and remove this, refresh this here. And now I should be able to see literally every moving any of these will now hover. When I hover, will now go and create a movement for each leg. That's nice.